All right, we are live. I spent my first day today as a guide at the Baha'i Temple in Wilmette, Illinois, north of Chicago. Um, so this is just an aspect of my life that is going to be kind of important. I don't know. I didn't have any guests on. I have a few people I'm
All
talking
right.
to.
We are live.
So I just want
I spent my
to
first day.
say kind of what I'm up to, um, and just get into like my reaction to the first day and talk a little bit about Baha'i and why it's going to be important. Hold up, I figured I'd start the stream on time at 9 here, but I need to get into the
My life
stream
that
to
is
make
gonna be
sure
kind of important.
I can take part in the chat. So chat is now set up. I'm ready to go. And here we go. So, welcome. Let's see. So let me get the chat window up. And it's up. Cool. So, yeah, the Baha'i. They gave me this interesting little book here. The way I got the window set up, it's hard to tell if you can read it properly. There you go. Baha'u'llah is their the final prophet is the way they look at it. It's interesting. It started in Persia in 1863. There's a guy named Baha'u'llah, and they think of him as the like last prophet in religion. But they believe that everybody else, starting with Abraham, was also telling the same truth, as they like to say. That it was a really good metaphor because I was like, what do you mean that all the religions are right? There've been literally wars for years about how they're not. I have it right, you have it wrong, and so for me personally, I guess I'll give my background so that people know kind of where I'm from. Maybe people who don't know me or people who don't know my full story. I grew up Catholic, and I find a lot of people who are Catholic either aren't really practicing so strongly or they end up being atheists like I did. I ended up being kind of resentful and atheist for a little while. And that was just like teenage years. And then I was like, all right, well, everyone's got religion. I got to figure something out. So I started researching Eastern religions. I looked into Islam. A lot of things, just learned a little bit about it. Actually, I took a world religions course in a comparative religion course in college. It was more of just an elective, but it was cool. Learned a little bit about it, but it wasn't until I like hit Baha'i. Actually, I remember looking it up on Wikipedia a long time ago, and I was like, "That's weird. It's a weird name. I don't know. It sounds too good to be true." And then I really didn't look more into it then. So I moved to Chicago in June here, and I visited a couple times, and really, here's a picture of actually where I was earlier today. Obviously, it's a little wintry. We had a cold day here. And yeah, so I'm going to send, I'll just send chat message. If there's anyone who wants to join in and maybe ask questions or maybe chime in your own stories, that's kind of the point. Is I want to make this more of an open live stream than me just monologuing, as kind of my other ones have been. Those have been more direct and to the point. But yeah, so today I went to this temple up in Evanston or Willamette. I really can't tell. They're like the same city. But it's absolutely gorgeous if you look at some of these pictures. I haven't been able to go at night yet. Most of the time I've gone during the day. But they keep the grounds very beautiful. Right now, in the wintertime, it's a little difficult. But actually, let's see if I can get a shot of the inside. Okay, yeah, here's a shot of the inside of the temple. You're not allowed to take pictures inside, but this is like what it looks. Very intricate. It's all windowed, so there's always light coming in. So I went there originally just because I was looking for stuff to do in Chicago that was kind of touristy, and this was one of the things that came up on all the tourist blog articles or whatever. And so I went up there just because it was cool architecture. And then I don't know, is like me being in Chicago, I didn't really know many people, and I was trying to add some routine to my weekly schedule. And so being Catholic, I was just like, you know what, I can just start showing up there on Sunday mornings. It's not like I'm really utilizing my Sunday mornings anyway. I'm just sleeping in most of the time. So I started going up to this temple, and right before the holidays, I went and I just went over to the office. And I just said, "Hey, I'm looking to network, learn more people. Wasn't sure if you guys take volunteers." And they were kind of busy getting ready for the holidays, and they just said, "Sure, whatever. We'll put your name on a list, and someone will give you a call, whatever." So I went home for the holidays, back to Cleveland. Now I come back to Chicago, and I went last Sunday, and today is Thursday or Friday, obviously, and they told me last Sunday, they said, "Hey, would you consider being a guide?" And I'm like, "What is a guide?" They're like, "Well, we don't have a clergy or clerics like a lot of religions like have priests, rabbis, imams. There's other, I forget what the other positions are, but they have a volunteer clergy where there's like there's no guidelines to it. It's not like obviously there's people who are more senior, they know a little more about it, but they just said, "Yeah, do you want to be a guide?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know anything about your religion." And like I'd already given them a kind of a breakdown of my story. I said, I was kind of a Catholic, kind of got disillusioned with it, learned about the other religions. They're like, "Chances are you probably know more about the other religions than a lot of the people that walk in." And so I was like, "All right, whatever. I'll give this a shot." And I don't know if it's a cult, whatever. I'll figure it out. And I don't know. I don't think I'll fold to the call of the cult, but yeah, it's been cool. So I kind of want to dig in just a little bit about their background, because this is also me doing research. I really haven't done that much research, so I'm just going to start reading the Wikipedia page for a minute, and then go into a little of the symbology of it. Then I want to get into the prophet's timeline, because that kind of makes more sense as to why they believe. Because it sounds a little wacky when I tell you that they believe in all the prophets. So the Baha'i faith, as it's pronounced, is a religion teaching the essential worth of all religions and the unity of equality of all people. Established by Baha'u'llah, actually, I'm still not, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right, in 1863, it initially grew in Iran and parts of the Middle East, where it faced ongoing persecution since its inception. Currently, it has between 5 and 8 million adherents, known as Baha'is, spread out into most of the world countries and territories. It grew from the mid-19th century in the Baha'i religion. It grew from the Baha'i religion, yeah, because they believe the Bab was one of the prophets. He's the prophet that inspired Baha'u'llah, who started this. And I don't think it says it. I could go into a separate Wikipedia page here. But why it says Baha'u'llah is it's obviously in the dialect of Arabic or Farsi, I believe. Persian. Oh, it's in Persian, which Farsi I think is a derivative of Persian. But I believe it means glory to God. Yeah. Yep. So they believe him to be a manifestation of God. And the thing is, I know God is a really touchy word for some people, but it's touchy word for me, I'll be honest. I have a hard time saying God bless you and like mean it, or glory to God and stuff like that. Because really, I don't know, to me, like, Christianity kind of can have a weird jittery like feeling to me. Is it, I don't know, maybe I've seen too many like horror movies where like the nuns are, I don't know. Christianity's got a weird kind of line to it with some of the movies I've seen and stuff like that. So I think the word God is kind of lost a little something that what it should mean. So I kind of replace it with the word truth. And like, I look at God as like, you look for what is real in the world. And I'm just going to leave it at that for now, because I really don't want to get too into religion. I want to get more into like the beliefs, because to me, religion is more of a personal thing. Beliefs are something you can learn from to your own personal religion. So that's kind of what I'm going to get into. So, yeah, he was born in 1817 and he died in 1892. So he's only been gone for just over a century. This guy's he's very, very recent. And, I don't know how much people know about what was going on at the time, but he was living during the Ottoman Empire, and that was a really weird time for a lot of people. And so here's kind of his pilgrimages. He was born in Tehran, Iran, and his life. He did a pilgrimage, and he went to Baghdad, because Baghdad is actually a very sacred city to a lot of Muslims, but in the Middle East in general, Baghdad has always been a very It was where the Islamic Golden Age really had the center of science, and it's just been a very important place. So he went there, and then he went through Turkey, went to Constantinople, Adrianople. That's obviously a very important region, and then went to Egypt and finished in Israel. And so that's important. The reason I want to bring that up is because the main part of the Baha'i, like the governing body of the religion, is in Haifa, Israel, which is not Jerusalem. It's part of Israel, but it's not the main cities where you think of where the Jews and the Palestinians are. It's a little further north, I believe. That's something I can get into. But essentially, this guy learned from a guy called the Babi, and he was someone who I can click on the Bab for a second. He had his own. He made his own like sect of Abrahamic monotheism, and I forget exactly what he truly believed, but the big thing about his life is he was trying to explain God to people in the Muslim sense, but a lot of what he was saying was very similar to what Jesus Christ said. And so they imprisoned him, and he wrote while he was in prison, like a lot of great, I believe Gandhi wrote while he was in prison, but eventually he was killed. I think the Persian government eventually killed him. And this is something to the Baha'is. The Bab fills a similar role to Elijah or John the Baptist. He's the forerunner to the person who founded it, which is Baha'u'llah. And to get into Baha'u'llah, he was like the guy who he was born into Persian nobility. He pretty much could have. He was so rich. He was in such a rich family. He could have literally just sat on a silk pillow and sat there and governed, or found a society to, I don't know, have orgies or whatever rich wealthy Persian people do. But he instead chose to go to the Bab, the guy before he was imprisoned and killed. But he learned from the Bab. He spent a lot of time reading and learning, and apparently he spent a lot of time with the poor, helping the impoverished people, which just obviously struck people in Persia. It's like, why would this guy why would he defy what is given to him and choose to? It's just very Christ-like behavior. And that's the thing is, at age 27, Baha'u'llah became a follower of the Bab, a Persian merchant who began preaching that God would soon send a new prophet similar to Jesus or Muhammad. And apparently, but the Baha'i believe that is also Baha'u'llah, or Glory to God is his name. I don't think that was actually his real name. Here's his real name: Mirza Hussein Ali Nuri. Very Persian name. But yeah, so anyway, that's kind of, I just want to get into like Baha'u'llah because that's the story I'm going to be reading about his life. Just because it's interesting. I mean, I want to know about the guy who. Because, I really like what Jesus Christ said. I do respect Christianity. I think there's a lot of great lessons to be learned there. But the thing that Baha'u'llah learned is he knew about Christianity. He's after Jesus, he's after Muhammad, he's after all these guys. And he said, yes, don't ignore Jesus, don't ignore Muhammad, don't ignore these people. Learn from them, and now let's have an extended conversation. And that's what I'm all about. It's like tying up all the loose ends and making something of it, instead of having people like, well, you're a Muslim, you're a Christian, and my religion has a bunch of rules on what you can do, and mine has a bunch of stuff about what I have to do. And it's like, instead of separating things, it's let's find where the common ground is and learn from everyone. And I think a lot of people do that. Not to say that you have to be Baha'i in order to do that, but I don't know. I figured the best place to learn would be volunteering and learning from them. And so, let's get into some of the symbology, because there is, let me go into the Baha'i Temple, maybe like a close-up or something here, or symbols, because the one in Chicago here, like here, this is perfect. This is one of the columns. You can see, I don't know how well you can see on the screen. I can see it pretty clearly. It's a little smaller, but you can see it's the swastika, which is actually a Hindu symbol, the forked cross or something like that. And then you have the Star of David, and then you have a cross, and then you can't see it in this shot, but I saw it. I was at the temple today. Right above it is the Muslim five-pointed star and moon. Let's see if I can find another picture that has it. Oh yeah, there you can see. You can see here's the moon and there's the star. So it literally just does everything it possibly can to have all the symbology so that everyone feels welcome. And so the point of why they have a 9-point star, and why Baha'is, when they die, they this is what they have instead of a cross, like on their tombstones. So this is the symbol of it, and it's because they believe in 9 particular prophets. They believe in Abraham, he was 500 BC, Krishna, which is Hindu. Abraham is the god of I guess Jews, but you know, Abrahamic religions in general are Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and then the derivative offshoots of that. And then you have Moses in 1330, who obviously he's still part of all the Abrahamic religions also. And then you have Zoroaster, who I really don't know much about. I should really learn more about him, but I know he founded I think it was a guy. He founded Zoroastrianism in 700 BC. And here's one of the things I actually really want to talk to Baha'is about, because anyone who knows me knows Taoism has been the thing for me. And so Lao Tzu, or however, the old master in Chinese or Korean, he was born in 600 BC, and he wrote the Tao Te Ching, and he was more of a philosopher than a religion, than like a classical religion. It was more of a way of life, but he did get into a little divinity. So he actually sits right in between Zoroaster and the Buddha, but they don't count him into one of their 9 prophets. So that's something I want to talk to him about, because he's very influential in my life in particular, or just the way I look at life. That's the problem I have with religion. Sometimes people are like, it's like the way I look at my life. It's like, no, you still have your life. It's just you learn from them. You can't let it define you. And then obviously at 1 BC, Christ was born after the Buddha in 500 BC. And then the Prophet Muhammad in 570, peace be upon him. And then the Bab in 1844 they believe him to be a prophet that preceded Baha'u'llah. And the real thing that most people know about Muhammad, most people know about Jesus Christ, most people know about the Buddha, most people don't know about Zoroaster, but actually Zoroaster, from what I know, he was actually a very religiously tolerant person. You know, Moses had the Exodus, Krishna founded Hinduism in the Vedas, and Abraham founded the Old Testament, I believe. But these 2 guys are a little lesser known. I think it was because of all the region they're in Persia. Not only that, but I don't think Islam is a very tolerant area to be trying to found your own religion, an offshoot religion that's tolerant of all other religions. So I know that the Baha'i have had a lot of persecution over the years. Not only that, but from what I was learning today, is a lot of the Baha'i are still, the majority of the religion itself still reside in Iran. And actually, from what I was being told, is that there's a lot of people who are declared Muslim in Iran, but because of the persecution they get, the church or whatever, the community actually tells them that they shouldn't really be trying to be Baha'i, because I don't recall, they said you can't go to higher education, that sometimes they'll shut down your shops. There's restrictions that I think it's, that's what I don't know. If it's the Ayatollah, it's the religious caliphate or whatever, they don't let the Baha'i like open shops and stuff. So apparently, like, the Baha'is there, the ones who are practicing Baha'is are telling people who are Muslims who want to be Baha'is, they're like, maybe it's not the best idea right now for you to join. You can read and learn about us, but like openly practicing, and that's one thing people know. Like in the United States and the Western world, we just assume that everyone's religiously tolerant, but it's like when you're living in a caliphate place like Islam, which, I mean, if you want to get political about it, we kind of are responsible for Ayatollah and the religious government, the theocracy that's in Iran right now. And it's funny that it's the birthplace of such a tolerant religion like the Baha'i. And so I got through the timeline. I got through the 9-point star. I mentioned how Lao Tzu, I think he wanted to get into. The other thing is I wanted to show the other Baha'i temples, not just the one, because actually every single one, and this is really, to me, the thing about the Baha'i that struck me is just how beautiful all their buildings are. So I'm going to go Baha'i Continental, I think, because they have like smaller like churches like every other religion has, but there's only one North American temple, Continental Temple, and it's the one that's 1 hour north of me. So just having that, actually, let me just go on the map. I'll do Baha'i Temple. Okay. Oh, this is for the United States. So there's only the one here in the United States. I want to pull up because I know the one in Australia was very, it was very beautiful. I just want to pull up the other pictures. This is the one in Chile, which apparently is made of alabaster. And actually, this is an older picture of it because I saw a more modern picture, and like all this like grass and there's actually it looks a little more modern now. Let me see. This is the one in India. They call this the Lotus Temple, which I think is absolutely stunning. It looks gorgeous. Okay, yeah, this is kind of a shot that has a whole bunch of the different ones, and yeah, really interesting. Really interesting, a lot of the architecture. And you can tell, like, you don't even know where some of these are, but you can tell that some of these are, you might be able to guess where they're from, because they always try to draw influence from where they're built. So you can see the American ones right here, and it draws from that kind of American architecture, but it has the Eastern influence on it too. Oh, here, this is the Chilean one, and when it lights up at night, because it's all made of alabaster, and it has windows in between, it lights up, and it looks, I don't even know what the hell that looks like, but it looks pretty, it looks like a marshmallow almost. I really like the Chilean one. Oh yeah, now they have a pool near it, so it looks really cool, and it's right outside the city. It looks like up on a hill. Here's an, oh, this is the Papua New Guinea one, I think. And this is the European one. This one's a little older, and they have plans apparently to build more. Here's the one in Uganda. This is the African one, which it's a little more modest. I think this one's older too. Which one is this? It doesn't say. Is this the Australian one? I don't know. I'm trying to find the Australian one because that was the one I remembered. Oh, this is the Central American one. Not. I don't know where this is at. I could probably, let's visit the site. That's just a shrine. Those are just shrines. That's a shrine to the Bob. Yeah, that's the Chicago one. Here's the African one. This is the Australian one. And here's the European one, which is in Germany, in the village of Lagenhain. Here's the Central American one, which is in Panama City. And here is the this is the Pacific Island one, which is in Samoa. And this is the one in Delhi, India. This is the White Lotus, which I just think that one, like, I like the White Lotus design, and there's always 9. That's the one thing that keeps them all consistent. There are always 9 faces for those 9 religions we were getting into. Yeah, so I don't know. Just kind of want to share that. I really don't have much else to say, I guess. I just really liked it for the architecture. Yeah, and I really don't know much about the religion yet. Hi, Simon Saul. Just joining in now. Because actually I kind of got through all the material I was going to get into. Because, I don't know. I was going to do some research. If you want to ask any questions, I can pull something up on the screen, answer it in real time. Hello. But I wasn't sure how much further I was going to do into the stream, so I'll just kind of open it up for questions if anyone wanted to ask any. If not, I'll probably end the stream here real soon just because, I don't know. I don't want to ramble on because I think I need to learn more about what I need to learn more about, because to me, so far, it's just a religion that has its own history in the 1800s, and yeah, everything else is all the other religions. Oh yeah, I never said the metaphor to begin with. The metaphor they told me about the way they look at other religions is that for the Baha'i, they don't care about the lampshades. It's all part of the same light. They're all trying to say the same message. And everyone gets all worked up about the different lampshades when you look at Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, whatever. They're just different lampshades. It's like different ways of dressing up, but you know, when you see a nice person, when you have someone helping them on the street, it's like a really religious person will be like, "Whoa, glory to God," you know, Allah, you know, Allahu Akbar, you know, whatever. It's like they're saying the same thing. We're all just a bunch of animals, but we're trying to say it in like different languages. It takes me to the movie Arrival, if anyone's ever seen that. Actually, I'll tangent off into the movie Arrival because I think it has a lot of significance here. Let's just go to images because I think images are most important. There's this movie where like there's these big old pods that show up. I don't want to ruin the movie. Let's see, ships. There's a bunch of different ships that show up all over the world. And I forget how many there were, but they show up in different places. And the thing is, all the different governments that, like, each ship, there's like one that appeared in, I think, Montana in the United States, one in the Chinese Sea, one in Russia, one in South America. And so each government tries to like learn from these aliens, and they're all trying to learn their language at the same time. And I don't want to ruin the movie, but essentially, people try to like weaponize it, and they're like, "Oh, well, we can learn from the aliens before you do." And ultimately, spoilers right now, the world needs to unite, and they all need to learn a different aspect of what the aliens are trying to teach us, to work together. And so that's the way I look at like the Baha'i. It's like we've all learned a different thing through human history, through each of these religions. It's a way to like, I think religion is a way to cope with like stress, loss, trauma, whatever. A way to make sure, and that's the negative side. On the positive side, it's a way to give your life purpose. It's a way to deal with mortality, deal with a lot of the really tough things about being a human and alive. And what I find is it's like, instead of having this like religious animosity towards one another, or even religious wars or intolerance, I think the Baha'i message is really something to learn from, and especially if there's this guy that no one's heard of that was preaching it over 100 years ago. Maybe we should see where this has gone, and I just kind of want to open it up to people for them to do their own research, because I'm going to do some myself, and I just invite you to learn about it. Not to say you need to be Baha'i, and I wouldn't even consider myself Baha'i at this point, even though they've accepted me as a guide or a cleric in their religion. I just see myself as a person who knows a lot and who's digged into it a bit and wants to dig into it with other people. So this the whole point of my channel is teaching people what I've learned and trying to learn from others. So yeah, I'll just leave it there, and I'll if you want to comment on this video, tell me what you think, ask me a question. I'll probably revisit this, but I think on Monday I have a guest we're gonna be talking about anthropology and evolution. That was Eric Dendero, who I had on last Monday. It looks like we'll probably have him on regularly on Mondays, and my goal is just to find a few people who enjoy being on the show regularly and have a certain topic that we keep coming back to, so we can kind of dig into some meat. And then making this Baha'i thing like a segment. I'm not sure what day I'm going to do that. But yeah, I'm just going to feel it out, and whatever people tell me, either in the chat during the live broadcasts or in the chats or the comments afterwards, I want to guide it off there. But until I get any feedback, it's my way, the highway. I'm going to be a little dictator until anyone can speak out. So just having fun with this, and if you can think of anybody who I just to put this out there, I go to a depression bipolar support group. It's no secret, I was diagnosed bipolar 2 years ago, and I actually manage it very well now. And one of the reasons I go is I'm one of the peer facilitators there, and I help out a lot of people that are struggling with depression in different stages of their lives, and it's really been something special, and I think it's kind of led me to being a guide at the temple. But the point I want to say is, like, with depression in particular, I think it's a lack of connection for people. I think there's a lot of people who, one, are very lonely, literally. They just don't have anyone they're actually talking to. But secondly, I think there's a lot of people that in the world, I'm speaking from my own experience and through other people's experience, is that not only is depression not being able to talk to people, but it's like the people you are talking to, you're kind of holding back, you're bottling up part of your soul or whatever it is you want to talk about, whatever it is that you enjoy. And so I wanted to open up these live streams just to be a way for people to say that. And I know I talk fast and I can get really animated, but don't be afraid to say something. I don't feel like I'm intimidating, but I just put myself in other people's shoes, and I don't want to make this something where you feel uncomfortable reaching out to me, making me slow down or stop. In fact, I encourage it. I'd like to have a little dialogue. So, with that being said, I have a few people watching. I have 4 watching. So my goal is 5. 5 has been my kind of, I don't know. I didn't really set any celebration or anything in particular for when I hit 5, but I'm right on the cusp. So glad to have you watching, and just have a good weekend. Might do a show or 2 Saturday or Sunday. Don't really have a plan. Monday is the only thing I've planned. So thanks for watching. This is the Michael Pulowski Experiment. Peace. Gotta figure out how to stop.